Hey YouTube. Okay, so I know it has been forever and I have so much to tell you guys. And I know I made some promises that I kind of didn't keep that I really need to, I'm going to attack that probably towards the middle of this month. I have like, I think 2 or 3 weeks before my next test. So, I mean, like, it's going to be smooth sailing from here on out. I will be doing a care plan workshop because everybody I know is asking me how to do a care plan. Just gotta breathe. Because everybody's like, I don't know how to do care plan. How do you do care plans at my school? Because I hmm, probably because I've taken this course before and I'm busting out those good old grades. Anyways, let me stop running around. I want to tell you guys about my first day of clinicals, um, and the last couple of tests I've taken. Okay, we had on my first. Well, let me just tell you guys about my test first, and then I'll tell you about clinicals. On my first test, we studied like crazy. Like it was on, I think, 3 chapters. Those chapters were really long. We studied and studied and studied, and I'm sorry about the noise, guys, but I have my heat on because it is like 50 degrees outside, and I know this isn't cold to most people, but I'm from Louisiana where it is always hot and humid, which makes it even more hot. So 50 degrees is kind of pushing it, you know? Yeah. Anyways, because that's neither here nor there, but that's what that noise is. Anyways, um, I me and my study group, we studied so amazingly hard for that test, and it was their first time in this class. Of course, I'm repeating it. Um, they did okay. They didn't make really good grades, but it was their grades weren't horrible. I think majority of them had either right at failing, like they just missed the mark, or they were right above the mark. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like, you need a 77.5 to pass and they had like 52s, you know? So, it's kind of like a whatever thing, whatever. Like, y'all didn't know how to take nursing tests. You have to critically think and apply it and think about why you're applying it and all of this stuff or whatever before you scratching your answer on the Scantron. So, whatever. So, we studied really hard. We were like we kind of, our test was on a Friday. We ended up having a football game that Saturday, and after the football game on Saturday, we were kind of like, y'all, we need to just chill because we were studying really hard for that test. Because we're like, we gotta start off good, we gotta hit the ground, we gotta have to hit the floor running, and it was just, yeah. So we were like hardcore studying. So I ended up going to one of the girls in my study group's house, and we just chilled basically. And I had so much fun, guys. It was so much fun. We just let our hair down. We didn't care. It was like we're not worrying about anything today, but on Sunday it was time to get it again. So we read our chapter for Monday's lecture or whatever, and having party sense or whatever. Well, for our second test, I'm not even gonna sit here and say, oh yeah, I studied so hardcore because I did not read the chapter once. Well, I usually read the chapter once. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys that later because yeah, that's a study tip, I guess. Anyways, so for the second test, I didn't really study much. I kind of just did what I normally do or whatever, like read chapter, outline it, type it, and move on past it or whatever. It was on health assessment and also activity, which activity is mostly common sense, I can honestly say. But I mean, health assessment is so much. I understand why some schools have a course just for that. Like, girl, you want me to remember all of this? And you only ask me 50 questions? Can I get 200, please? Girl. Because it's like you don't know where she's coming from with the answer, so it was just like whatever. But I ended up getting a really good grade on the second test. I got a 94, which is just, it's barely in it. Like it's the lowest A. It's like the best of the worst or whatever. That's what I always tell myself. And the second test I ended up getting like a 93 point like 32 or something like that. It would, I don't know. I don't care about the points after that. I just go with whatever the numbers is in the front of the decimal. Okay? Yeah. So I got a 94 on the first test, 93 on the second test. I felt horrible about the second test because I participated in test talk. What I hate, I didn't I didn't purposely participate. Like I was marking my TQs in my book because I usually mark test questions that I remember in the chapter or whatever after the test. I make sure I have the chapters with me because I copy them out of my textbook because my textbook is like this thick, and I'm like, who carrying it? Who? Not me. So I ended up marking the TQs, and it's like I'm surrounded by people talking about test questions, and I'm like, oh my god, I got that one wrong. Oh my god, I got that one wrong. And at the time, I had just watched Julianne's video about test talk, and I was like, why are you doing this to me? I'm gonna fail. Oh my god, I can't believe I failed. Like I'm pretty sure I got like a 62 on this test. Or matter of fact, we might as well turn those numbers around. I probably got a 26. Like I'm freaking out. For a whole week, she doesn't put the test in. A whole week. Do you know how much agony that was in? That I was in. So then she puts the grade up, and I got a 90 freaking 3. And I'm like, they had the wrong answers with the wrong rationale to go with it. I was so upset. I was like, I can't believe I doubted myself. But I already knew I was going to do it again. So here comes the third test, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel a different type of bad about this test. Like, I haven't really studied, because I at that point, I did not study for this. Like, I don't know, I guess I was growing weary. Like, I don't know. That test was supposed to be the easiest test because it was on like sensory and older adult and communication and documentation. It was things like simple things that you really should know. Like, I don't know, those questions were like I don't know, like I don't make bad grades. Like what? I got a 69 on the test, y'all. 69, as in a number after 68 and before 70. That's not even passing on a 10-point grading scale. Imagine being on a 6-point grading scale. Okay, F. So I'm like, whatever, charge it to the game, just let it go. But like after that test, they did test talk, but I couldn't really participate because I couldn't remember the questions because I didn't know the material, you know. So I didn't really mark test questions in that chapter. So then comes our fourth test, which we just had Monday. And when I tell you, in my study group, we went so hard after this test. Like, we were like, okay, this is the make it or break it test for some people. Like, we really need to do well on this test because, like, we just really need to do well because we can't afford not to do well on this test. So I take the test. Like, we studied. When I tell you we studied hardcore. Like, we went to the chemistry building because they have this big dry erase board, and we bring our markers and stuff or whatever, and we just write on the dry erase board. Each person teaches a chapter, or maybe two people on a chapter or whatever, you know, and you just go over it, and you just, you know, we kind of just go over the chapter or whatever, and we explain everything basically in detail. And then we answer the questions in the back of the book, and then with our textbook comes this app or whatever, or you can go online, it's the same questions or whatever, and you do the questions, and there are like 20 questions per chapter or so. And we did those questions. We did the questions in the back of the chapter, and I had a reviews and rationales book. We did some questions out there over the stuff, and an NCLEX book. We did questions out of there. So I mean, like, try to answer as many NCLEX questions as possible, because I promise you it will only help. It's gonna get your thinking together, and it's gonna like help you know how to look at a question and grab it by the horns to answer it effectively, you know. So like we were staying up, like I stayed up one night till 3, I think, maybe, studying, and then I went to sleep, and I woke back up. I lied. I went to sleep at my friend's room, got up at like 5, and then came to my room at 12. I was back over there studying. Not even at 12, I don't think. I think maybe like 9. Like, it was crazy. But we were studying hardcore for that test. And I was like, I really feel good about this test. Like, I was like the first person done. I went back and answered questions, looked at things, you know what I'm saying? And come to find out, I got another 93 on this test. So I'm really happy, even though it was, guys, I had a 93.45, no, a 93.50. because I had a 94 on the first test and a 93 on the second test. That third test dropped me down to a freaking 84 in the class. So, like, I feel like this is the proof in the pudding for everyone to see. Even though I had 90s to back up what I did, when I did make the 69, like, you have to think about things like this. Like, I had a 94 basically in the class. I had an A for midterm. For finals, I'm not gonna have an A. It's impossible for me to get an A now. But I mean, I'll take a B. I can take a C right now because I shoot for 77s. Okay, I shoot for the moon, and if I land upon the stars, I'm dynamite in this thing. Seriously. But anyways, yeah, that's how I've been doing on my test. And I said I was gonna talk about something else. When I said I was gonna talk about y'all, what I was gonna talk, I sure forgot. Ain't that nothing? I said my test, and I said I was gonna talk about my study tips or whatever.